We're looking at the weeks leading up to Chan's Room episode 57 this week, and I almost wanted to leave our time travel at one sentence actually, which would have gone something like this. In May 2020, Stays stayed at home playing Animal Farm, and they miss Chan fiercely. We're settling into pandemic times this month, and things are changing for everyone. I'm sure you can imagine there are a lot of resources that I comb through to get information for our time traveling. I weed through a lot of different archives and even have constructed a historical Twitter timeline to keep track of what stays we're going through as we time travel together. And it's honestly wild how many of those resources have dried up over the past few months that we've been covering, because the shift to pandemic times was that extreme. Stays are used to tracking the kids' every move, more or less. Getting updates on where they are and what they're doing used to be a very regular occurrence. Before the pandemic, it was rare to go more than a few days without updates or photos of some kind of some or all of the kids as they went to and from their schedules. But now it's not fans or fan sites keeping Stays in the know, it's the kids themselves. We start to see what a collaborative effort it really is, keeping that infamous infinite power source online when it gets turned on its head. This is a really unique time when Stray Kids were pretty much wholly responsible for putting out all available content of themselves. They've really been doing everything they can to stay connected, but honestly, there's less time for them to go live now, because while some things in the world have come to a standstill, their music production has not, and we're barreling towards a pretty huge milestone actually. Stray Kids' first full album is dropping in a few short weeks. Weeks leading up to an album release in normal times are ones when we see the kids pull back anyway. They're working hard behind the scenes to film all the content they'll be dropping to go along with a comeback. But in Stayville, as the reality of pandemic life kind of settles in, so does some listlessness. This was probably a really common experience for many people across the board, but we start to see this pop up a lot more in Stayville around this time too. There's a shift in tone from the kind of light-hearted, surprised delight of seeing the kids as they do things like go live with Stays to something closer to relief or even a sense of dependence. A feeling that these moments when the kids reach out are becoming more of an actual lifeline. Bright spots that are buoying Stays through their days. So even though a lot of the content we see from this time period doesn't seem too out of the ordinary, like 2 Kids Room Plus 1 episodes and Unit V Lives, it's good to remember that all of this meant a lot to a lot of Stays. It was part of what was keeping them going through uncertain times. And they were getting some incredibly special treats tucked in there too, because this is the month that Han debuted his SKZ Player Close. Seungmin released 2 Day 6 covers, including You Were Beautiful. Hyunjin offered up his iconic When the Party's Over performance, and Changbin gifted us Streetlight. All of those were within 1 month, and they're honestly emotional touch points that a lot of Stays still come back to regularly. That's the impact of what the kids were offering up in this moment. I'm going to ask you to forgive me for bearing the lead, because this is the month that we got Stray Kids OST for Tower of God. Top and Slump were released this month along with their teasers, giving us bold and stunning visuals alongside a narrative that didn't just apply to the Tower of God webtoons plot, but folded in Stray Kids' story and lore as well. They did this in 3 languages, no less, meaning Stays had 2 new songs, but 6 versions to listen to. Fans of the webtoon especially were really thrilled with the way Stray Kids managed to capture the duality of Bam, the main character in Tower of God. Sriracha really found their own reflection in Bam's determination to succeed in climbing the tower, but also his fears and doubts as he struggled with the reality of walking alone, being the one in charge of his own fate as he worked towards his goal. Those 2 diverging but complementary messages really resonated with Stays too, just adding to the list of ways our kids are impossibly talented at reaching out to others with authenticity and solidarity. Something that's actually really sorely needed at this point in time. And one place Stays know they'll always find that is with Channy, especially when he comes to spend time with them in Chan's room. It's been a month since episode 56, where Chan made it really clear how much he's been missing Stays too, how precious the time they spend together is. Stays don't know it yet, but episode 57 is the last time they're going to have to wait so long to be with him again, because Chan has decided going a month in between episodes is just too long. Before we go, I also want to point out another shift that's happened here, because while anyone familiar with Chan's room now associates it with big hugs, it's important to know it wasn't always the case. In 2019, Chan gave Stays 15 hugs over 52 episodes, and yes, we've actually been keeping track, because it's an evolution that feels like it has a lot of meaning, actually. As we come into the second year of Chan's room, as he and Stay are spending more time apart, I think it's important to notice how his response to that is to underline the meaning behind the things they do share with each other. How in episode 50 56, he really drives home how that time together is precious, a deeply meaningful safe haven. And he especially spells out how important the hugs that he gives Stays are, how singular and rare they are, how potent and full of love for Stay those hugs are. Even though we're getting fewer episodes of Chan's Room in 2020, we're going to see a lot more hugs than we did in 2019. And as a thought experiment for 2025, I challenge you to ask yourself where Chan is sharing the kind of love only he can with Stay in the here and now too, whether it's captured through the lens of a camera perched on a tripod or not. Because as evolutionary as the man is, some things always stay the same, and one of those things is his love for Stay. That's why we keep our eyes open as we walk beside him in the here and now, and why we'll be here this Sunday, January 5th at 11 p.m. KST to rewatch episode 57 together too. Because it doesn't matter where you find Chan in space or time, he's always got the same message for Stay, and we're sending ours right back to him too. I'll see you then.